You are watching Business Heroine TV for the entrepreneur who says she will and does. Join the Business Heroine community today at businessheroinemagazine.com. And now, tune into the show.
Hello and welcome. I'm Ann Perry, founder of Business Heroine, and I am here with Dalili, who is a naturopathic physician licensed in the state of Arizona. Now, Dawn has a fascinating story. She actually gave up the practice of naturopathic medicine and now serves her clients as a personal mentor because of her deep belief that our food choices and our lifestyle are simply a symptom of our underlying beliefs about who we are and what we're worth. So Dawn's mentoring practice focuses on inviting women into a life that they love in a body they love. So this is going to be a special treat. Thank you so much, Dawn, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. So tell us about, I know that your career as a naturopathic practitioner and in the mentoring you do really was born from your own journey with your relationship to your body. Tell us about that journey.
Well, I think like most women, my sense of wanting to control the body that I live in started really young. My first memories are of wanting to be skinny and small. And, when I was in high school, I would say that, disordered eating clearly became eating disordered. And that kind of characterized the next 8 to 10 years of my life. But even after that point, right, like even after I stopped binging and purging, I still viewed my body as something to manipulate, something to control. There was a sense of detachment. And so I had very rigid rules and structure around how I would maintain a body that was frankly unnatural for me. I was committed to being a size 2 or 4, and at my height on my frame, it didn't work well. So in order to do that, it was 2 hours of exercise and very restricted eating. And one day I just kind of woke up to the reality that I wasn't fully living. I was giving up all of the things that were important to me. Like I had always felt like, well, when I'm thin, then I'll have more fun and I'll do things with my friends and I'll have this exciting life. But in order to maintain it, I'd given up all of the things that I thought were the perceived goal, and I couldn't live in harmony with it. I lived it with a sense of like fear around it. And I see that in so many other women, and I've really felt committed to offering a different way of being.
And when we were speaking offline, you mentioned a really profound shift in how you saw your body once you became pregnant.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that.
My son is, he's 4.5 now. And, it's interesting because he's such a teacher to me in so many ways, even now, but his influence really showed up in my life during my pregnancy. I was a third-year medical student, and, even that time, like I think in some ways I was attracted to naturopathic medicine because I thought it would just give me more tools to control it and understand, well, how do I do this with it? How do I do that with it, with my body? And then when I got pregnant and realized like, wow, I am creating life. Like my body is doing that. It knows what to do. All I have to do is get out of the way. Mm-hmm. And there was a sense of falling in love with my body. I saw it as being magical and as being feminine for the first time ever. Mm-hmm. And that sense of awe has really carried over into like this idea that I need to get out of the way. Like this part of me needs to step back and allow my body to be feminine and magical, and that there was so much pleasure in that. And what was really interesting was that with that sense of harmony and that sense of fascination, the weight that I gained during pregnancy was gone so fast. I gained about 60 pounds during my pregnancy, loved every minute of it, and all of it and more was gone within 3 months. And it was just like, it was with that sense of like, my body is special and it's beautiful. I really felt beautiful, I think, for the first time during my pregnancy. And that shifted everything for me.
That's amazing. I love that. And I love that loving your body is what allowed it to shed weight naturally and not forcing it to do something it doesn't want to do. And
yeah, it was so effortless. And as you said, it all just came from loving it.
Wow. And so you do this now as a career, and I would love to hear what you saw in your clients. You traded your work as a naturopathic doctor for being a personal mentor. Tell us about why.
Okay, well, when I started working as a naturopath and, in Florida, it was, serving as a consultant on natural health because of the way that licensure was done. But the work that I did was really similar, and people would come to me and they would have this health challenge or that health challenge, and they would want to lose weight oftentimes. And when we would specifically talk about supplements or food or, botanical medicine, anything, without addressing how they got to where they were, then there was a sense of a person would end up feeling restricted or limited or maybe punished in some way. They would look at a dietary program and say like, gosh, like that sucks. I feel like I'm on a diet. And they would come back saying, I can't do this. It's too hard. And what I realized is that there's not a single woman out there who has a challenge with weight that doesn't know that a bag of cookies at the end of the day is not helping her to lose weight. The issue is that like whatever's happened in your day to make it feel like I just want to check out and do this thing, like I just want to go numb. If we don't address that, then telling her not to eat the bag of cookies is really not in service. And so I went and I acquired new tools. I studied eating psychology. I studied transformational coaching. And then we started to dig in. Like, what is it about your life? What are you not saying to your boss or your business partner or your husband or your kids that's making you want to check out at the end of the day? And when we can address that piece of it, when we can address how you show up in the world, then the food choices just fall into place. It becomes really easy because you naturally want to support yourself. You want to feel good and you think that you deserve to feel good. So once you feel like you deserve to feel good, the choices that you make around what to eat will support that. And if you have a belief that health is for other people or being skinny is for other people, you'll never allow yourself to fulfill that desire.
That is really, really deep. I'm just kind of soaking it in. It really is. I mean, and I can see how it even translates over to money and income, kind of like allowing it to stay with you, or it's just that belief of worth. And one of the things you mentioned too is that permission to speak up. Like, what do you need to say to the people in your life? Are you quieting yourself to keep peace around you, or peace, like fake peace around you, right? Or are you fully self-expressed and filling yourself in other ways?
Right. And, it's really interesting because what we eat has so much to do with, if you're familiar with the chakra system, our communication center. And so stuffing our mouth is often a way of like stuffing the pain that we feel from being small, feeling restricted, or not speaking our truth. And then it's so connected to, our third chakra, that sense of personal power, because that's where we digest and we metabolize. And so there's such a spiritual connection. And as you said, it does show up with money, and it shows up with career. It shows up in your personal relationships because you are one person that shows up in all of those places. And so that's why it's really about a life you love in a body you love, because you will show up for your whole life. And that one, those belief systems about who you are will impact all of them.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So tell us more. What does it mean to really live in a body that you love?
So it's funny. I'm going to shed you in or share the secret with you is that most people read that and they think, oh my gosh, she's going to help me get a body that I love. And kind of the secret ninja trick is that it's really all about loving first, and I talk to people sometimes about, their significant other, or it works really, really well when you think about your kids, because there are things that you don't necessarily like about your kids. I've never met a parent who's just like, my child is perfect all the time and there's nothing that I would change. And yet you look at your child and you say, I love my child unconditionally. There's nothing that my child could ever do to make me not love him or her. And that's the relationship that I aim, that's kind of the end result of the work that we do, is that you look at your body and you say, okay, sure, maybe there's something about it that I'd love to have a little bit different. But irregardless, I love it. I love it so much that it lights up my whole life. And I know, that living in a body you love means that you get to show up in all of the areas of your life with poise, with confidence, with that sense of like, like our body is how we're seen, right? Because it's the way that we show up physically, our entire interaction with the world will shift when we love the way that we show up. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. Again, it's profound. It's really deep wisdom. And I'll just share a little personal story. I was at an immersion retreat, kind of a mastermind immersion retreat recently. And I myself kind of created a new relationship with my body because I've traditionally been more comfortable staying in my head space because I like to think a lot and, I'm smart or whatever. So I'm intellectual. I can think and stay in my brain all day and ignore my body. And so what I realized, though, it's like you mentioned earlier that it's like your body felt like a prison when you had to restrict and control it. And then there's like this stage of treating our body like a temple. It's this palace. Like we live in this beautiful temple, so we want to, of course, treat it right. Yes. But what I hear you alluding to and what I sort of tapped into myself this past weekend, probably for the first time ever in my life, is that our body is not a prison and it's not just a palace. It's actually a portal to the kind of spiritual world and spiritual expression. It's the thing that allows us to interact with the world on all levels and through our 5 senses. It is totally magical, like you said, when you realize your pregnant body was like this amazing magical thing. Like it's a miracle.
It is, absolutely. And it's a great analogy to refer to it as a portal because it is that connection. A lot of times I will tell people that when we have a really healthy relationship with our body, it becomes our internal navigation system. It will tell us exactly when something's not working for us, and it will tell us when something is perfectly working for us. And if we get comfortable reading our bodies because we're willing to inhabit the body instead of the headspace, we can have that communication. And then, like the need for all external influence really falls away because we're in relationship with the source. Our source. And it's beautiful to see the kind of that sense of liberation that people get.
Yeah. So I want to talk to you about a little bit more about the results that your clients experience because it sounds like they might be coming to you for wanting to lose weight or get this body physically to create a body they love, which you mentioned, and then they find out they love their body. They get this deeper sense of love for their body. Tell us more about the surprise results that your clients get when they work with you.
Okay. Yeah, because you're right. Most people come to me because they want to lose weight. And, they come to me with this sense of like, oh, I hate myself. It's what I hear. It's so sad. It's heartbreaking to hear. But that's honestly what I hear over and over again is I hate my body. I have to do something. There's a sense of desperation and need. Like everything's going to be wrong unless I lose. And it could be 5 pounds and it could be 50 pounds. And there's still that same sense of desperation. So the surprise that really happens at the end of it all is that every aspect of life feels more comfortable. Women will come back to me saying that, my relationship with my husband is totally different now. My relationship with my daughter is totally different. I especially see the mother-daughter relationships shift because body image is such an important piece of that like nonverbal communication between mother and daughter. Wow. But also when people say, I'm now having the courage to follow my dreams and my heart. A woman, I've worked with her for quite a while and she just finished, she left her well-paying corporate job and went to massage school and studied Reiki and is doing these other things because she never felt like she had permission to follow her dreams. She thought that she had to do what was safe, what was expected, what people wanted from her. And in that process of tuning in and listening, she was like, oh, this is, my job has nothing to do with how I want to show up in the world. And I'm going to create that. So there's this sense of autonomy and excitement about living fully that happens for somebody when they're not shutting themselves down. And it's just unbelievable to see.
That is amazing. That's a way better prize than just losing the weight. And it sounds like you mentioned, when you came into falling in love with your body, the weight slips away because you're just sort of naturally choosing those choices. It's not like you're forcing yourself to not eat the cookies. It's like, how freeing, how liberating.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people, don't even necessarily lose all of the weight. Like I had a client who wanted to lose 40 pounds and she lost about 15. And then what she said to me is, I don't even care. Like I feel so good that I'm no longer focused on that. It's not the thing that's holding me back. Mm-hmm. If I want to go dancing, I go dancing. If I want to, like buy a new outfit, I don't feel like I have to wait until. I just show up and I live for today. And I mean, I think that that's just as priceless of a result, irregardless. Like the weight really becomes irrelevant.
Totally. That's so amazing. I mean, I just love what I do because there's so many amazing women entrepreneurs like you who you're just creating a level of self-empowerment that is just beyond kind of even the things that we think we want. It's like you don't know until you know. And that possibility of being like, wow, I feel so comfortable in my skin. I feel so empowered to go after my dreams. I feel just so good in my relationships. That giving people that is such an amazing blessing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's exciting
for doing it. And so tell us, how can our business heroines tuning in today, how can we get more of you?
Well, there are a couple of ways. One, I think we'll have a link up. Where I've created an assessment. It's a free assessment, and anybody can take it. You can, feel free to share it. And what this assessment will tell you is one of three main areas, because a lot of times people who are feeling really frustrated and stuck in their body think it's all about food and exercise, and they're just looking there. And one of the things that I say to people is that there's so much more to what your body looks like and feels like than what you put into it. So it's not just what you eat, but it's also how you eat, the mind-body connection, and then most importantly, what's eating you, those stresses. And so this free online assessment, it's really simple. It will probably take 3 to 5 minutes to fill out, but it will give you a really good indication of where your best next step is, because it may have nothing to do with food. And it's really insightful to say, oh, okay, the reason I'm feeling stuck right now has to do with these other pieces. So that's one place to start. And then, if you're really interested in taking this work further, then I would say reach out and let's schedule a body breakthrough session. The work that I do, I work with women in one of two ways. We either do a personal mentoring relationship where it's one-on-one and we're fully customizing a program to meet your needs. And then another thing, which is absolutely magical, is that I've created small success circles. And so this is a group of, 6 or 8, at the most 10 women who are starting off in a similar place, and will go through a full 6-month journey together. The commitment is not just to yourself, but it's also to that container, which changes everything about the way that you show up. And so if that's something that would be interesting to you, then, definitely you can get the information on my site, reach out, let's sit down and have a conversation about what your immediate need is, and then how we can support that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dawn. Do you have any last words of wisdom for business heroines, the entrepreneurs who are taking on creating their power in the world and being their full selves and putting themselves out there?
Absolutely. It's interesting because particularly for a woman, one of the most important things about putting yourself out there is feeling what is beautiful within you. Owning that, recognizing it, and knowing that it's not about how you look from the outside. And so if you can tap into, this is the beauty that I create in the world, whether it's through the way that I do my work, the services that I offer, the way that I display my gifts, and own that sense of I am making the world a more beautiful place simply by showing up is such a celebration of not just who you are, but it will magnify the way that your gifts are received. And, I'm such a fan of everything that you do that, if somebody reaches out to me from Business Heroine, just mention Business Heroine magazine and we will do, a 25% off of, either a success circle or a mentoring relationship, because I recognize that entrepreneurs showing up with their gifts fully intact and having that sense of like true power, which comes from having a healthy relationship with your body, is going to change the world in amazing ways. And I'd love to contribute to that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks
for everything today. I loved soaking up your wisdom. I feel like I gained some new just knowledge and insights and respect for my own body just by talking with you. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah. And thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
You have been watching Business Heroine TV for the entrepreneur who says she will and does. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out what's new at businessheroinemagazine.com today.